10 candidates trying to become Indiana's representative for the 3rd District. And to help you get to know the people behind the campaign, we're doing a series of interviews called Meet the Candidates. We're doing it all month long. Well, this morning, Kip Tom on the Republican side is joining us to talk a little bit about this. So thank you so much for coming in, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
Time. Let's talk about this first run for a state position here, representative in the United States Congress. What's that been like?
Well, it's been an interesting run since September, since I got in the race. But I think to describe what I am, I'm a conservative, and that's based upon my family, my farming for the last 42 years, and my faith.
Well, let's talk about that family. How many kids do you have? Do you have tell me about your life here in Northeast Indiana.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And our family settled here in 1837, where I raised my family. My parents raised us, and today I have 10 grandchildren. So that's over near Leesburg, Indiana. They settled there in 1837, so our parents raised us there on that 120-acre sharecrop farm. And then I raised my 5 children there for a number of years, and now 10 grandchildren, and my 3 children and a son-in-law, and parents are running the farm.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot to be worried about here, a lot to be involved in. So tell me a little bit about why you decided to get into this race, though.
Well, my dad came in the office after about 4 months of consideration of whether I was going to run or not, after a number of Indiana stakeholders and people across the country. And he sat down across from me and he looked at me and he says, you know, I've told you this before in life. Sometimes you have to travel the most difficult path to make the most difference. That's when I decided to run.
So that sounds like a pretty smart guy.
Great father.
He had big influence on you?
He's always had influence on me. You know, as a young child growing up on a farm, you know, you were following your dad from the early days you could walk, and you always aspired to be somebody and do what Dad did. And I grew up a very good lifestyle as a child.
You involved your dad in your commercials, too. We've seen a lot of that. Whose idea was to get him involved there?
Well, it was all of us that came in, but I really wanted to get my father involved. He's 87, very healthy and very active, and was willing to participate.
All right, this is going to be a beautiful day out there today. Tell me what you're going to do with it. What does the Tom family do on a day like this?
Well, this afternoon, after some of them get home from church, some of them will probably go to the field. They're doing a little farming right now, starting out the spring planting season, and you know, there'll be a number of other activities. I have things going on with the campaign, and there's a lot happening today with the family.
Has the family been ready for this change that's been going on here? Because, you know, campaigning is much different than farming.
Absolutely. So, you know, it all started out as, you know, I couldn't stand by idly any longer and watch the promise of America. And frankly, the futures of our children, grandchildren, and future generations be diminished by a political system that's broken and dysfunctional. And when I looked at my grandchildren, I really wanted to make sure I would create a difference for them participating in Congress.
And make a big difference that way. All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate
the
you coming
opportunity
in to
to be
talk
here.
about all this stuff. Kip Tom is on the Republican ticket. His opponents are Jim Banks, Liz Brown, Mark Beringer, Dr. Pam Galloway, and Kevin Howe. All will be joining us this month before Election Day. And these candidates are trying to fill Marlin Stutzman's seats, who you just saw a little bit ago on here, who is running for U.S. Senate. He joined us earlier this morning. Todd Young, his opponent, joined us earlier this month. And you can find all of our interviews on all these people at Wayne.com.